I think I'll begin. So, hi, I'm Dr. Rixon Pereira. I'm a consultant dermatologist in practice in Mumbai. I've been practicing in Mumbai for about 10 years now. And today is World Vitiligo Day. So, this is an initiative launched by Glenmark Pharmaceuticals called Embrace Your Inner Self. And what I'm here to do is give you some information, some basic information about vitiligo, and to spread this opportunity of truth, embrace, and transform. Okay, so before let's start about the condition itself. Okay, there's a lot of misinformation, about vitiligo. So what exactly is vitiligo? It is a condition in which you see something called as you see white patches on the skin. Okay, uh, what we commonly refer to as leukoderma, and the reason it is something that is due to an autoimmune process where your immune system turns against its own cells, where so there is our immune system recognizes our own cells as our own and doesn't attack them, and there is something there is a problem with the whole recognition mechanism, and the immune system ends up attacking a group of color producing cells and clears them out, and so that leaves behind white patches. And it can start at any age. It can happen right from infancy and childhood to anywhere during adulthood, and there are different patterns. Some people can get a patch or two, and on the other end, and some people can get many patches, as well as at the other end of the spectrum, something called as vitiligo universalis, where the entire body sort of loses melanin and it can turn white. Okay, so again, so there is this whole spectrum of severity where there are majority of the patients who have few patches, and to the other end of the spectrum where you can expect depigmentation of the whole body. Okay, now the reason for autoimmunity is not very clear. Okay, like any other autoimmune conditions, for example, a lot of people who have thyroid illness, it's an autoimmune condition. Some people have autoimmune condition affecting the hair called as alopecia areata. So this is something like that. Okay, and sometimes the cause is genetic, but it may not be hereditary. But a lot of the times when there is a family history of autoimmunity, the condition tends to be more severe and more recurrent. It tends to come more often. Okay, so but the inheritance pattern is not very clear. It's not like if someone has vitiligo, because someone has vitiligo, they are it has to be in the family, or their children have to inherit it. Okay, so that's the whole. So the inheritance is mainly it's something that is transmitted from it's something that is acquired. I mean, it's something that you inherit genetically, but it may not be hereditary, and it's not necessary that it transmitted. And because it is an autoimmune condition, it's something intrinsic. It is not something that spreads by contact. So there is a lot of misinformation that it may spread by contact. That's not the case. People are worried that it can spread from one person to another. Another thing is, people think that it is related to diet. It's actually not related to diet. A lot of patients who have vitiligo, they end up avoiding a lot of important foodstuffs like milk, sometimes fish, non-veg food, and a lot of nutritious fruits and vegetables. So it has nothing to do with diet. You can consume everything, and like in any other condition that we advise, always observe a healthy always follow a healthy balanced diet. Just like if your general health is great, then the chances of any conditions worsening is a little lesser. Okay, there are other things, there are other factors that may be implicated in the severity of vitiligo. Okay, if you develop vitiligo later in life, it generally tends to progress slowly, as opposed to if you get it in childhood. Okay, if there is a family history of autoimmune conditions, then you're more likely to get a more recurring as well as a more severe form of this condition, and it may not respond 100% to treatment. And if so these are the two things. Sometimes there are studies which show that smoking, excessive smoking, alcohol consumption, all of this may worsen. Vitamin B12 deficiency may worsen. If you have thyroid illness, you're more likely to get. So there are some associations, but largely it is something that comes without any other. Most of the patients that we see, they come without any association. Now, when you have the illness, what are the conditions that can, what are the situations that can worsen it? Okay, so there is something called as Keebner's phenomenon in vitiligo, where if a person who's prone to vitiligo suffers some sort of trauma on the skin, they can get white patches there. So the trauma could be anything that is trivial, even pressure, just placing your elbows on the table, or excessive pressure on the knees. All of this can trigger patches in the areas of friction and pressure. And simple things like if you have an insect bite and you end up scratching vigorously, those can trigger new patches. Sometimes if you get a sunburn, a very common trigger of vitiligo is sunburn. If you're out in the sun and you get sunburned and your skin gets damaged, you can develop new patches. Okay, so there are situations where we generally tell patients with vitiligo to be careful about certain things, like not traumatizing their skin, not avoiding excessive sun exposure. So these are some things that can cause vitiligo. Sometimes patients who have vitiligo also have eczema along with it, and eczema tends to be itchy. The skin tends to be itchy and dry, and patients who tend to scratch can develop patches of vitiligo in areas of itchiness. So we always advise patients not to be careful about the way they handle their skin, and be gentle about it. So now when it comes to treatment of vitiligo, okay, the treatment is in two forms. The two goals of treatment are to first of all control the spread of the condition, and second is to to repigment the patches that have formed. Okay, so as far as treatment is concerned, depending on the severity, if the treatment varies from along with the severity. In case there are people who have one or two patches, their treatment is different from those who have multiple patches or recurring patches. Okay, when it's a mild illness where you see a few patches in certain areas, we tend to stick to creams initially. There are different groups of creams. We use some steroid creams in the management. There are something called as calcineurin inhibitors, some non-steroidal, which are non-steroidal creams. There are certain creams containing something called as photosensitizing agents, which sort of amplify the effect of the sun, and it can help repigment the patches. So there are different forms of so there are different creams that are used. If patches start to form on multiple areas of the body, a large number of patches start to form at once, or if there are patients who are stable for a long time and they start to develop increase in the size of patches, then we need to give some oral medications to stop the disease activity from within. And a lot of the times we use steroid medications, oral steroids, for a short duration, and under the doctor's supervision they are usually safe. And in any person who requires long-term management, where the vitiligo just wouldn't respond every time the medication doses are brought down, we give something called as steroid sparing agents. Okay, medications which act like steroids, where they calm down your immune system, but they don't have any of the side effects of long-term usage of steroids. Okay, so a dermatologist is the best person to decide what to what is the kind of medicine that is needed for your condition. Okay, and then there are, for people who have become stable and the pigmentation has sort of filled into the patches, but there may be certain areas which are resistant. Now what happens is, once the condition is under control, one can expect the pigmentation to fill into the patches. Patches which come on hair bearing areas. Okay, so areas where there is black hair, generally the pigmentation starts to come in from that and spread into the patch. Okay, so when you get patches on hair bearing areas, the chances of repigmentation are much better. So patches which come on the face, on the arms, legs, chest, back, these areas generally tend to repigment well. And areas which come on non-hair bearing areas, such as the palms, soles, the private areas, the nipples, these are more resistant to treatment. And sometimes when patches don't repigment the way you expect them to repigment, we require certain treatments such as we use light treatments. For example, there are lamps which have ultraviolet light, UVA, UVB. There are lasers called the excimer laser which has UVB light. So those are more specialized treatments for resistant patches. And in case there is a form of vitiligo called segmental vitiligo which usually is resistant to treatment, in those cases, or in areas where patches are stubborn and sometimes around the ankles, on the legs, which tend to be a little stubborn and don't tend to repigment well, there are surgical options. Okay, so surgical options are, there are different techniques where uh, you know uh, melanocytes or color producing cells from normal appearing skin are sort of harvested and then they are transplanted onto the patches, and that helps repigment the skin. Okay, so that can be done via different techniques called as suction blister grafting. There is something called as split thickness, ultra thin split thickness grafts. There's something called as punch grafting, and the latest treatment is non-cultured melanocyte transfer. So these are certain treatments that are done to help patches that are stubborn and they don't repigment by themselves with medications. There are certain surgical options that can be given. So all in all, the biggest fear, the commonest questions that people ask when they are dealing with vitiligo is, is it something that I'm doing wrong that's causing it? No, it's not. There are certain functions of the body which are not under your conscious control. You can't control what you inherit. So it's, it's not something that you can control. So largely it's something that has to happen for no reason, because there is a mild defect in the functioning of the immune system. And whether, then another question is, will the color come back? So as I said, in most cases, what happens is, if the patches are on hair bearing areas, you can repigment them with the right choice of creams and there are, as I said, I just enumerated before, there are creams, there are oral medications, there are options such as sunlight, UV lamps, surgeries for the most resistant cases. So treatment, as our understanding of the condition has improved, there are many developments in the whole treatments of vitiligo. So I would say, if the condition is limited to certain areas, most of the patches can be pigmented. For another thing that I wanted to add is something called as depigmentation therapy. Okay, if there is more white areas on your body than brown areas, there's an option that you can allow the whole skin to become white and gain a uniform color. So I have had a few patients who had very rapidly progressing vitiligo, and it does not there are side effects to certain medicines that we use in vitiligo. So at that point in time, you have to take a decision whether to allow whether you have to take a call whether this is in the best interest of the patient. Okay, we also have to manage the general health of the patient. If the medicine has potential toxicities and it has to be given for long duration, we have to decide whether that's good for the general health of the patient. So one option is, if the condition is on widespread areas of the body, and if the area of white is more than the area of brown, then there is an option for the patient to allow the condition to progress and allow the skin to become one uniform white color. And a lot of the times patients are very happy with that decision, because suddenly their skin looks even. People are more concerned if their skin looks patchy. So with even white skin, people are happy, and the best thing is they don't have to take any medications. They just have to observe sun protection, and that's it. So sometimes such decisions have to be discussed with your doctor. Your dermatologist can give you various perspectives on the illness and help reduce the anxiety and the stress associated, mental stress associated with the condition. And another thing that people ask is, can it come in the future? Okay, so generally what treatments we give are designed to control the condition and repigment. Okay, even after successful repigmentation, there is no guarantee that the condition cannot come in the future. Okay, as I said, if there are certain situations where you're more likely, the disease is more likely, the condition is more likely to recur, and those are if you from the onset you have many patches, And if there is a strong family history of vitiligo, if there is a strong family history of autoimmune conditions, if the patient themselves have vitiligo and any other autoimmune condition, or a patient rapidly keeps getting patches, those are indicators that the